Bangkok, capital of Thailand, economic powerhouse in Southeast Asia, world party mecca, and host to some of the most diverse culture in the world. But of course, this wasn't always the case. So how did Bangkok become the city that it is today? I'm Ian, you are watching Tempus TV. Let's learn a little bit. Now, starting from the beginning, Bangkok was just a humble fishing village along the Chao Phraya River in the heart of Thailand. Early days of Thailand, formerly known as Siam, Thonburi was the actual capital, which is actually in the now Bangkok area, but on the other side of the river. Now flash forward to 1782, and King Rama I decides that he wants to move the capital across the river to what is nowadays Bangkok. And it's at this point that Bangkok begins its long journey to become the city that it is today. With a focus on expansion under the royal dynasty, many of the landmarks that can still be seen today were constructed in this period. Everything from the Grand Palace to the massive beautiful temples like Wat Arun, Wat Phra Kaew, and many, many more, with major focuses on improving the city's infrastructure as well as the overall image of Bangkok. It's around this time that it really begins to come into its own. This is a major turning point in Thailand when it comes to modernization, and a lot of that has to do with Western influences under Kings Rama IV and V. Now, although Thailand was never officially colonized by any Western nations, Western influences began to become very apparent during the 19th and early 20th centuries. Some of these main influences that became very apparent in Thailand, and especially Bangkok, were everything from architecture, social and government structures, art, as well as the depictions of the royal family in Thailand. Now, while many Southeast Asian countries at this time were under colonization by Western influences, Siam was able to stand alone, known as the land of the free, but while still making sure that they can pick and choose the things that they thought were going to be beneficial for Thailand and Bangkok especially. Everything from educational reforms to the improvement on Bangkok's infrastructure, as well as the abolition of slavery. Now, during these movements to modernize Bangkok and Thailand as a whole, a world conflict finally reaches Siam, World War II. Now, while in the beginning of the war, Thailand did align as neutral, after the invasion of Japan in all of Southeast Asia, including Thailand, Thailand did go ahead and align with the Axis powers. As a result of this, many POWs from all over the war were brought to Thailand and especially Burma. And as a result of aligning with the Axis powers, this does mean that the Allies did launch attacks against Thailand. A lot went on in the north, but Bangkok itself was also bombed from 1941 all the way up until the end of the war in 1945. Now, post-World War II, the reconstruction of Thailand and especially Bangkok needs to begin. Luckily, after the war was over, Thailand was considered an occupied enemy territory instead of an enemy ally. So this really helped Thailand and especially Bangkok when it came to the rebuild, because there weren't a lot of post-war sanctions imposed. So this allowed Thailand to focus on rebuilding the things that were lost. Now, starting from this rebuild and over the next 40 years, all the way up until the early 1990s, Bangkok would see a huge influx of Thais moving out of the more rural areas and moving into Bangkok looking for work. As a result of this, the middle class in Thailand grew immensely. Now, with the growth of the middle class, that did bolster the workforce in Thailand. But when it comes to Bangkok, this huge influx of new people started to pose some issues with Bangkok's infrastructure. Things like the road systems, water and sewage, as well as housing, were all issues that needed to be addressed during this time if Bangkok wished to keep growing and move into that economic power that they are today. During this time, King Bhumibol, or also known as King Rama IX, was very open to the idea of modernization in Thailand and especially in Bangkok. Most of the modernization process in Bangkok during this time was spearheaded by King Rama IX. Everything from the baseline infrastructure, like we mentioned before, roads, sewage, to the electrical grid, all the way up to very forward-thinking ideas at the time like green zones, citywide parks, a lot of which you can still visit today, took off during this time. With this focus on modernization as well as the growth of the middle class in Bangkok and all of Thailand, this carried Thailand right into their economic boom of the 1980s and 90s. And with this focus on growth and modernization, Bangkok and Thailand as a whole start to see a major climb when it comes to tourists and expats alike that are interested in coming to Bangkok. Moving into the 2000s, Bangkok has established itself as a global city as well as an economic powerhouse in Southeast Asia. However, even with the major growth, the Western influence, and the focus on modernization throughout this time, Bangkok continues to hold on to its identity as the heart and soul of Thailand. Although Bangkok does continue to face some growing pains due to the fact that it is an ever-growing city, traffic and pollution just to name a few, these are things that the city recognizes and is constantly making strides to improve. And judging from the track record, I'm sure it will be figured out. From a humble fishing village to a world economic powerhouse in less than 2 centuries, all while managing to keep and appreciate its own culture, it's safe to say there's nowhere like Bangkok.